following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
Only today's greatest sports heroes make it to starting lineup. Collect baseball's Gary Carter, Eric Davis, and Wally Joyner.
To be a winner.
Detailed uniforms, every home team, and their official. Collect starting lineup, each sold separately.
To be a winner.
Hello, welcome to, Andrew. He's Andrew, I'm Johnny. I always want to keep calling this the Radioactive Sports Podcast.
Maybe it could be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
maybe where it's sports / Simpsons podcast.
Yeah, with a little bit of like superheroes. Like 90% of superheroes became superheroes because they became radioactive.
That'd be interesting. Have you ever seen that, the Mutant League football cartoon or the Mutant League cartoon? That's pretty much what happened there.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, they showed it where somebody's flesh was melting off their body.
Nice.
In the beginning of the thing. It's the 90s. It's the 80s and the 90s. What's the difference?
And it's for kids.
Suck it up, kids. Suck it up.
But welcome to the show. It's the holiday season. And we're here on. We're going to talk about some. I think every sports fan growing up is at least aware or somehow adjacent to the starting lineup set of sports figurines. Andrew, I obviously had a number of them. I didn't have a lot, but I had like my favorites growing up. What about you?
Oh, it was a pure on addiction for me at a certain point. It was to the point where Toys R Us was doing this thing where you could sell video games and get Jeffrey dollars.
I remember this. Yeah.
Okay. So we knew the guy of a local sports store in our mall. Shout out to the Summit Park Mall. Shout out to Mr. Bob there and Primetime Sports Cards. And he had a son also around our age, and his son liked video games too, like stuff. So he was actually taking our Jeffrey dollars on par with real cash. And my friend Dave and I spent so many Jeffrey dollars in this because we had such a starting lineup addiction that this kid was able to buy at launch a Nintendo 64.
Wow.
Yeah. So starting lineups definitely became like a huge addiction. I had tons all over my wall. My mom was super pissed off because there were so many nails in the wall because I didn't want to use thumbtacks and I want to make sure they stayed and couldn't use ticky-tacky or anything else. But I had you had to collect your favorites. You had to collect the cool poses. When I remember when they came out with hockey and then they start coming out with goalies and you're like, damn, I want the goalie and everything else. And it's probably one of my most addicting toy lines ever. It was my gateway from G.I. Joe's, Star Wars, when it came to toys, to like actually like collectibles. It was the one thing I actually kept in the package.
Which is a big deal for kids, right? If you're a kid getting something, that's why a lot of the stuff from when we were growing up, it commands a higher price if it's pristine still in package, because when you're a kid and you get these things, I got to play with it, right? I got to open this thing up. I gotta have my G.I. Joes fight my Ninja Turtles type of thing. But yeah, I got really lucky in that when I was growing up, like it was almost during the summers, on Saturday mornings, our family would get up and we'd go to yard sales, right? And I would find all kinds. Some of my favorite stuff growing up, I found at a yard sale. But one of the things I found was this one. Actually, I knew the kid because I went to school with him, and he was selling his Shaquille O'Neal starting lineup figure, and like I don't even remember what we paid for it. I mean, it was obviously cheap. It was at a yard sale.
Yeah.
And that sort of started me on this path.
I was also a member of the starting lineup collectors club.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was in deep, Johnny.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
I was in deep. It was to the point where you just wanted to buy one. And I remember buying like a Patrick Ewing with $6 because he was just cheap and it was there. So it kind of got a little out of hand, I gotta say, with my collecting because I had them when I was younger. Like when they first came out, those got ripped open. Didn't care, but as I got older, it changed. So it became a value collecting, a lot of value collecting where you look up to see who the prices were. My brother went to Toys R Us, so he would bust open cases to get me some. As I bitch about scalpers today, but it's different. I once stood in line.
You weren't doing it to resell them though. That's
no, it was
the difference
pure.
To me.
It was pure just us wanting to collect.
Yeah.
So you've heard of the wonderful Hills department store?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay. I once stood in line outside of a Hills department store waiting for a number because they were getting a new release of starting lineups. And at that point, if they knew that they were going to get released to stop the fighting, you had to stand in line. They give you a number. And if you didn't have a number, you didn't get a starting lineup. So they would go and like order like at a deli. And I was like 14, 15 years old standing there with a bunch of guys that are probably like our age now.
Yeah.
So it was a little intimidating because my brother was like, hey, Hills is getting a release. We're going to go there and we're going to get two guys. And I think I got like a Kevin Green and somebody else because by that time it would
WCW's Kevin Green.
Yeah. You're not a Seinfeld fan. I was gonna say, think of like the soup Nazi. You pretty much walked.
I know who he is though.
Yeah, you pretty much walked up there with a number.
Yeah, no starting lineup for you. Type of
yeah,
thing.
And real quick, you had to say two players, and I was like, do, and then all of a sudden they gave it to me, and my brother was like, "Why did you pick those two?" I was like, "All the other good ones are gone. I think I had number 22 because you were only allowed two per person, two per custom." So, and I'm pretty sure they had plants in there and everything else, different people just standing there, but it was pretty awesome to enjoy the starting lineup. Never got into McFarlane because it didn't have that magic.
There is something about the simplicity of those starting lineup figures. The ones now, like I said, I have a newer. I mean, it's at this point it's about 10 years old, but a newer Kevin Love one when he was playing in Minnesota, and it's like a really nice looking figure, right? It's very detailed, and all that, but there's just something about the simplicity of the 90s starting lineup figures. And I was like, just before we were recording, I was just randomly looking on eBay. It's like, I wonder what these are going for now. And like you can get most of them for in package for pretty cheap still.
I can say this because it's coming out. It's going to come out after it arrives, but I am such a big component for starting lineups that Matt, when I did Eat Sleep List, go check out that podcast, BICBP Radio Network. We did the things that you wanted for Christmas.
Yeah.
And Matt was like, I never got a Peyton Manning starting lineup. And I was like appalled by that. He could have been like, my parents beat me when I grew up. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But the fact that he did not get a Peyton Manning starting lineup. So I went on Amazon and I found him the Peyton and Archie Manning 2-pack. And I ordered it for him. And he was like, you didn't have to do that. And I was like, no, I needed to do this.
That's more for you than for him, I think. I
needed to make sure you had a starting lineup. I I have one left out of my collection, and that's only because my friend Dave gave it to me. It's a
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr. one, and he pretty much did the same thing. He was like, "Hey, do you want one of these?" Because he is still heavily collecting.
Yeah.
And, he's got tons, like totes on totes on totes. But it's at this point, like you said, with the prices and everything else, unless it's insanely graded. I'll get into some of the prices later from that I got from cardlines.com. And unless they're PSA graded, they're like you said, 20, $30, sometimes anywhere between 1 to 5.
Yeah, like even after shipping on a lot of them, like I was just looking at players that I would like,
Mhm.
and none of them were just I looked at like 5 random basketball players, and like most of them I could get for under $10 easy.
I did look for Jake the loan for you, but I think he didn't have one.
He didn't. He's got a figure now, not that I would know that I've looked it up or anything. But even it should be like $1 million. I think it's like 10 last time I looked. But
I shake my fist at those McFarlands. Being
Yeah.
the old man that I am. They're beautiful. I am not complaining about them. They're awesome. They're wonderful, detailed. But like you said, the simplicity of this, that you could actually feel like you were, if you did take them out of the package. I remember we had some of the original 88 series, and I did play with them. Like we had a linebacker, Cornelius Bennett, and then I had a Dan Marino, and Cornelius would rush Dan Marino, and the poses you could actually kind of like play with them and use your imagination. McFarland's are more of a statue, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But let's get into how starting lineups came to be. So this came from the idea came from Pat McInally, who was a wide receiver / punter for the Cincinnati Bengals, a Harvard graduate, and I believe still the only person to ever get a perfect score on the Wonderlic test. Are you aware of the Wonderlic? And we're insert joke here. I was waiting for it. I saw the Johnny's brain working there.
All right, what is it for real?
It's like a cognitive test to test your like range and intelligence over like multiple jobs of how fast you could think and everything else. They probably do it in the NBA. I know they definitely do it in the NFL. If you go into the combine, they sit you down, and I can't remember how many questions it is because I definitely would not get a perfect score on it. I think I took it once and I just bombed miserably, or my brain got scrambled, and I was like, you know what, I don't have time for this right now, because you can take it online, but it's like a 60. You got 1 minute to complete so many questions.
Yeah,
and it's like, here is a sequence of numbers. Which number is this? Which number is that?
Oh, I'm already going to feel that.
Yeah. Okay.
Anytime numbers are involved, I'm checking out.
When I joined the Marines, I took my AdVab test on and I had a hangover, and it just wasn't good for me then. So I could imagine what I could do with the Wonderlic test at the age of 40, the way that my brain is now. But that's pretty much what it is. So it's like getting a perfect score on your SATs, pretty much.
Yeah. So they're basically trying to see how smart you are.
Yeah, your thinking abilities and everything else. So Pat McInally, though, here's his connection with kids in a non-Josh Giddey way. He had a column called Pat's Answers for Kids, where kids could write into him in Cincinnati and, right, I want my parents to let me watch more TV. How can I do this? Or I want to do karate, but my parents say no. So he had that, but at the end of his career in 1986, he ends up selling his condo to executive over at a little toy company you may have heard of, based out of Cincinnati at the time, called Kenner. I don't know if you've
I know where you're going. So you said toy company Cincinnati.
Yeah,
it's got to be Kenner. Yeah.
Okay. Isn't that the slogan?
I think so. I didn't even mean to do that. Yeah. It's got to be Kenner. Yeah.
Or is it like Kenner is fun? I can't remember the bird, but I watched a lot of Toys That Made Us. So he starts talking to, I think his name is Ben Stern of Kenner. They start going over and they have a conversation. And he's like, you know what? I got an idea for a toy. Sports figures. You got to figure at this point, we have Star Wars, 86. So you're even looking at, you got wrestlers with LJN superstars.
Yeah.
He realizes that there's no like toys for sports really at this point. So he comes up with the idea for starting lineups that you're going to have the figure and Bazooka from G.I. Joe, who is rumored to be wearing a Steve Grogan jersey, who was a quarterback for the New England Patriots, is the inspiration for this kind of product. So they gave Mr. McAnally there 7 days and $100,000 to secure the license for like the NFL, because I'm pretty sure my man's got some connections to the NFLPA and
Yeah, you would think so.
else. And the $100,000 was to make sure that no one else gets the idea. Like he can't just say, "Hey, I got this idea. You can have this." So finally, in 1988, we get Kenner starting lineups. It's kind of a brief story, but there's only 3 sports: NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball. So in the 1988, between those 3, it was well over 300 figures were made, or 300 like actual players were produced there. 124 for baseball, 137 for NFL, and 85 for NBA players in all. And then in 1993, hockey came, and then later on, you get NASCAR. I think there was soccer, boxing.
Oh, I remember the NASCAR ones. Yeah.
Just tons and tons and tons. And the last official line after they were sold to Kenner, or sold to Hasbro, because Hasbro is so awesome, was in 2001. It was baseball, because they were sold to Hasbro in 1991. Thank you, Hasbro, for buying up all my childhood IPs. But in 1997, though, Pat finally got his own starting lineup. And they're still getting good, get made today. I see Hasbro Pulse brought them back.
Oh, I didn't know they were still being made.
Yeah, but in 2014, which is weird, Legacy, a company called Legacy Toys, I believe, bought the trademark on it, but it looks like Hasbro Pulse just came out with something as of September 22nd of 2002. But they look overly complexed.
Yeah, they probably upped the look of them and stuff. I would think add more detail. Might as well be a McFarlane at this point. It's yeah, it's funny you bring up Hasbro. One of my best friends and our mutual friend Trevor, like that's if you say Hasbro and his company, he visibly gets upset. So, they've done such damage to the board game, and Trevor's a big board gamer, to the board game community. Like they're like, I can, anytime they release a new product and it's very cheaply made, right? He is quick to point it out to me. He'll send me the stuff on it. So.
Well, because they bought Parker Brothers,
yeah,
bought Milton Bradley, 2 of the biggest board game names that we grew up with. And I remember getting Clue because it was like on sale for like $10.
I've never had one of those.
My kids actually still enjoy board games. Like I instill
there's some really awesome ones out there.
The board game tradition, whether it's old or new, like let's sit down and actually play a board game instead of holding controllers and staring at a screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where was it? Okay. So we bought Clue, it was like $10. And you know how you got a card for every room?
Right.
Well, we had a card for a room, and the room doesn't even exist on the board. And then we were missing a card for the room that actually exists on the board. So that just goes to show you how cheaply made it is. So I looked it up like in Walmart reviews if this was like just a mistake. No.
That's how they do it now.
It's in every single game.
Yeah. Yeah, so Andrew sent me a picture of, I guess this is gonna be one of the newer starting lineups. Because it's got Luka and Giannis in it, and John Morant. It's got a lot of the newer players. They're way more detailed now. I mean, they honestly, as a figure, they look really good, right? They look great.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're actually posable. You can see that they have actual joints and stuff in them, so you can pose them way better than the original ones. But that sort of just takes away the charm to me than those original ones. Now, I'm not saying I would hate to have some of these. Like I would obviously love to have a Steph Curry or a Luka, or a Giannis, just for example. But again, there's just something.
Ja comes with a gun. Did you see that? Yeah, I got you to look too. That's
I did look down when you said that. I was like, no way they're going to do that. Best shooter in the NBA. That's it's just. There's just something about that already pre-posed. It's almost like you have, to me, I think the reason I liked them was because I was huge into, sports cards, right? I collected sports cards like crazy. And side note, these always came with one.
Yeah.
But it was like you're getting like a 3D type that you can actually hold sports card in a way of these players because they're in these cool poses and stuff. I definitely remember when I was a kid and my parents would let me go to Toys R Us, just going to the starting lineup section and just looking at how cool some of these figures were.
I love the Dennis Rodman. I think it was 98, where there was different hair colors.
Yeah, see, that's cool.
So there's multiple hair colors, and remember looking them up, and shout out to the Tough Stuff price guide because I was not a Beckett person. And you would see Dennis Rodman, and then you would have to look to see what colored hair which one you had. I forgot which one was the rarest, but also these from that 1988 to 2001 had $700 million in sales.
It just seems like a no-brainer idea to me.
Because I love the 2-packs. Like I said, I mentioned I got Matt that Peyton and Archie Manning. There was a 3-pack that we got my dad.
I saw
like a huge Lakers fan, so it was Kareem, Shaq, and Wilt.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I saw when I was just perusing eBay for them. There's like a 5-pack of like the Dream Team.
That's expensive. I want
that one looks so cool.
I want that one. But yeah, these were they were fun. I remember they came out with action ones for base. I think it was only baseball, but I can't remember if they came out with the other ones, but they actually moved. So you could give it to a younger kid and they could be like, oh wow, this is starting lineup. It moves, like it actually would like hit a ball off of a tee or something.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Kind of progress them into this as well, because these are heroes as well as Luke Skywalker, He-Man, Optimus Prime, Raphael. These are Michael Jordan, Dan Marino. These are heroes as well. So that was always the cool thing about these. And to this day, somebody mentioned starting lineups, and a smile goes across my face. Matt and I, for the 2-point conversation, was actually trying to tier every single original release NFL one. And I think we got to the second part before we shut down the show, because we would have been like 3 or 4 parts because of how long.
Yeah.
How many players?
You said it was like 100 and something, right?
For the initial release.
I think it's like 130 or something like that.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
It's ridiculously a lot. They toned it down later on. So just for football was 137.
Yeah.
But I think my brother had a Kareem in 88, which would have been nice to keep in the package. But here's some prices, Johnny. But these are graded. So
yeah, I have a
disdain towards grading.
I do too. Yeah, it's ruined hobby collecting, in my opinion.
You can't hold the physical property anymore.
Yeah.
So in 1988, Tony Dorsett graded 85 went for $1,025. A 1988 Michael Jordan went for $1,000. These seems like they're ungraded. A 1996 Hornets Wagner went for $1,000. I don't know why. 1988 Michael Jordan Isaiah Thomas one-on-one ended up going for $800. And here's some typical sales. A 1988 Gary Clark went for $30. I would not pay $30 for a 1988 Gary Clark, but teach their own. A 1994 Joe Montana went for $3.50. A 1988 Eric Dickerson went for $30. You might be able to get that out of me. There's some more prices I saw on this. There's just so many. I just saw, I'm like, the most of the scrolling that I'm doing on this is going through the checklist.
Yeah.
And that looks like that's about, oh, okay. So here's some PSA graded ones. 1988 Michael Jordan, PSA 10, $7,000. I did say $7,000, right? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the reason that grading just really gets under my skin is like I'm not against anybody selling their collection because sometimes you got to for different reasons.
Yeah.
And I'm not against that or anything, but the grading has gotten so out of hand that people are literally just sending stuff off in lieu of trying to make more money off of it later. That's all it is now. And it's just so annoying. I literally am sitting on two basketball. Well, I'm not physically, of course. Two basketball cards.
Because then they're like PSA ones.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. That if I sent them off to get graded, first of all, it'd cost me a lot. But second of all, if they got good grades, they would be like astronomical in price. I can make a lot of money off of them. But I'm just like I'd feel like a hypocrite if I did that. I mean, I literally have a first edition Steph Curry Upper Deck rookie card, and it ungraded or raw as they call it, it's still worth like over $100. But if I graded it, like I could get like 10 times that almost if it's a 10 type of thing.
I got my Damario rookie card that there's times where I'm like, what? Then I'm like, nope. I wanted it for too many years. It is not leaving my side.
Yeah. See, I'm a big Steph Curry fan. I think the second that I sold that thing, I would regret it. But it's just the nature of the beast. Maybe another episode for later on down the road, talk about grading. But
we got
I was gonna ask. So from the sounds of it, I think is there like a figure of how many total starting lineup figures there are? Like, I'm just curious. There's got to be over 1,000, right?
Yeah, because you figure that first wave is over 300.
Oh gosh, yeah. And then they started adding more sports on top of that.
They started adding more sports. They cut down the amount of players you would get after, I think, 88. So I don't think the 93 hockey one came out with a whole lot. But yeah, there's got to be over 1,000, maybe 2 to 3, maybe 2,000.
Yeah,
maybe I would say to 1,000 to 2,000. A 1988 Cal Ripken Jr. PSA 10 went for $888. A 1996 Kobe Bryant, I don't know what BGS, but it was a 9.5. Went for
that's another grading company. There's different grading companies.
Oh, that went for $400. So it's ridiculous on a lot of this stuff. But then again, I used to pay for a lot of this stuff. Because like I said, I was heavily addicted to the starting lineup collection. I remember, okay, so talking about making sure, like, even like at a young age, like family members had starting lineups. My uncle was huge in the NASCAR. We talked about this. Huge Dale Earnhardt fan.
Yes.
I made sure he had a Dale Earnhardt starting lineup. Like, I never bought this guy a Christmas present in my life. Never would have thought of buying him. Never bought one for him since. But I got him a damn Dale Earnhardt
Yeah, because you got it.
I think you gotta have, if there's something out there, you gotta kind of go for it and get it. And it was just, I loved it when the other great thing that they did was when they start coming out with offensive linemen for the NFL, because that was something they never did before. You had defensive linemen, but you never had any offensive linemen. So when they came out with those, that was absolutely amazing too. Like, even though it wasn't a rare one or worth a lot, I did get myself a Willie Rolfe uh starting lineup. And
I'm
it's
sorry, I had to look to see if there was a Mark Morton starting lineup.
a who?
Mark Morton, that's my NASCAR guy.
Oh, no problem. Talking starting lineups here. Greatest, one of the greatest toy lines ever. But it was these were definitely hot over the time period of what
Yeah,
they
there was a time where like literally everybody you knew who was remotely a sports fan had at least one.
I yeah, I had ridiculous amounts. I remember getting here's something that I don't think a lot of people say anymore. A mall gift certificate. My grandmother would buy us a mall gift certificate, and I spent all of it at KB Toys because they just opened up a case of hockey starting lineups. And there used to be a goalie named Jim Carrey, and I needed the Jim Carrey. He was kind of a one-hit wonder, but
No, he had a couple good movies, man, like in a row.
I needed the Jim Carrey. And I also here too for, like I mentioned, the starting lineup collectors club. This is your checklist. So you had the AFC helmet collection, Brett Hall and Bobby Hall classic double, a Cade McNown. Jeez, where were they reaching for that one? Joe Montana freeze frame, Joe Namath, John Van Beesbrook. I had the Junior Seau Dan Marino one-on-one. That was kind of cool. Uh, Larry Bird backboard king, Mario Lemieux, the NBA center 3-pack, like I mentioned before, Shaq, Wilt, Kareem, Nolan Ryan freeze frame, Nolan Ryan with the Jacksonville Suns. I had that one. I think I traded that though. But
I just wanted to Google Charlotte. This is all on eBay, right? Charlotte Hornets, because that's my team starting lineup figures. And you get the ones you would think: Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, these names that are synonymous with Charlotte Hornets. Even Anthony Mason, who was a major part of our team for a long time. There's a Vlade Divac one, which I'm going to have to get. But the one that made me laugh out loud, which tells me how far and deep they were going into that in 1989, is a Kelly Tripucka.
yeah, they were going. When Matt and I were doing the 88 football, and Matt is pretty well versed in NFL history.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, he was like, who the hell is this? And then even for me, I was like, I don't think I've ever heard that guy before. So there was also Reggie Jackson Stadium Star, Shaquille O'Neal Slam Dunk, Ted Williams Coopertown Collection. I think I had that one as well. USA Basketball 3-pack of Barkley, Peyton, and Mitch Richmond, Wayne Gretzky freeze frame, and a Willie Mays Stadium Star. But I would definitely like to see these. I would like to see these come back, maybe a little bit more detailed, but not overly detailed, and not through Hasbro Pulse, because I've heard horrible things about Hasbro Pulse.
Yeah, I mean, it has the word Hasbro in it, so it's going to be iffy in the first place.
Hasbro Pulse, which I think you have to buy a membership for. It's like the collector thing. You have to buy a membership for, and then you have to pay for the stuff. Or what's the other one? Not to get too off topic. Oh, HasLabs, where it's crowdfunding. I'm pretty sure Will has talked about it.
He has, yeah.
I don't believe that you should crowdfund for a toy. If you are a major toy company, you should just make it. And
if you're a smaller one where like it literally depends on like people paying for it before you make them, then I'm totally fine with it, right? Like I get it. But you're right. If you're a Giant Cup, Hasbro should never do that. If you're going to put the toy out, just put it out. You're freaking Hasbro. You're like a ridiculously rich company.
Mattel does it as well too with Mattel Creations.
It's so dumb.
It's bad when it comes to toys. Like I said before, I don't think toys are made for children anymore. It's made for adults like you and I. What does a membership to Mattel Creations cost? Oh, it's
$50, $60.
looks like $10 depending on what you go through.
I mean, $10 ain't bad, but
then you got to pay for the toy on top of that.
That's what I was about to say.
That's a sweet.
But that's just the beginning of the price, really.
That's a sweet faker though, from He-Man. Going down a rabbit hole.
What?
That's the next one that we're doing.
Skeletor better be there.
Oh man. All right. No, I'm done. Okay. Back to starting lineups. Yes, but the starting lineups, I'm trying to remember. I actually kept my list from Eat Sleep List. I believe it's a top 10 toy that I had on mine. Or not, well, everything's a top 10. Where are we? It came in. Oh, I was gonna say I didn't even put it in there. Where did it come in at? Oh, here we go. Starting lineups was top 5. It was 5. It's like, and it's a good thing because if you're in the top 5, it's something that if I see at a garage sale or anything like that, like you mentioned, if it's at a card store and it's a good price and they're not playing, I know what I got here.
Yeah.
I'll pick one up. I wish they sold loose ones. Like, just a lot of places don't do that, but I love it. They're the best. I think they're the best sports figures out there. Like I said in the beginning, McFarlane's not as fun. Not as fun. No removable helmet. That was the great thing about the football players is they had removable helmets and the goalies had removable face masks.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you're a kid, that's a selling point.
Yeah. I mean, I busted a lot of them because I'd put them on my finger, but it's I was a young kid. As I got older, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But
well, that means they're not really good helmets.
Yeah, well. Either way you look at helmets, it's the 80s.
That's true. Probably just a couple pieces of leather.
I love because I love the fact like Danny Ainge has one in the 88 for basketball.
Yeah.
Danny Shays has one.
Well, I was looking at I was like, I'm gonna look at NASCAR ones just out of curiosity. I mean, Mike Skinner got one.
I have no idea who
so I know he is just because I was really into NASCAR at one point. So I definitely heard that name, but it's an obscure name. Like that's a hardcore NASCAR fan name.
Who is Mike Glimsky for basketball?
Oh, you better put some respect.
Oh, he was a Hornet from 91 to 94, so that's probably why you're looking at me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just never heard of him before.
Well, that's on you. That's not on him.
So sorry, Johnny.
Sorry, I get defensive of my Charlotte Hornets.
Wow. Kiki Vanderway has one in 88.
Well, yeah. Kiki's a underrated player, by the way. That dude was good.
If I got a Joe Barry Carroll from 88, would you trade it for the Kevin McHale 1988?
No, you got to keep Kevin McHale.
Oh, do you? Warrior show.
Yeah.
That too. But Michael Cage has one.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I know who Michael Cage is because of NBA Live 93.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a game. That's another topic, the NBA Live series when it was good.
When it was, yeah. But I think that's pretty much it with starting lineups. toy line that somebody's going to probably bring back and ruin. Thank you, Hasbro. And I wish somebody could just start up Kenner again. Just can we Kenner?
Yeah. Just get a redo.
Yeah. Just sell off the name and get Kenner back get into play.
Yeah, it feels weird. It feels weird. Kenner was such a big part of our childhoods.
Yeah. But that is it. Starting lineups.
Yeah. So thank you for listening to the retroactive sports podcast. The radio act. I want to call it something different every time. Thanks for listening. Did you have what were your favorite starting lineup figures? If you're listening to this, feel free to let us know. I'd be send us pictures. Yeah, I like looking at them. I think the reason they'll always go down as a really fun collectible for us that grew up in that time period of the 90s is, again, it was basically like getting a tangible 3D type of player sports card in a way, and it was just really cool. But yeah, thanks for listening. We very much appreciate it. And make sure you check out all the social medias that Andrew does a great job with.
Yeah, Facebook, and I should be starting another season of Tecmo Super Bowl, and that is with the Phoenix Cardinals, because I did get one comment on a vote for it. So, as I asked, so it will be the Phoenix Cardinals.
Go Bo Jackson.
I'm sorry I can't remember your name, but thank you for commenting on it, and thank you for everybody else that comments on that. So, makes me feel like it's actually worthwhile. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, we appreciate it a great deal. But I think that's it. I think we can shut down the. Oh, wait!
Oh,
Andrew's got something.
Crap! I forgot to tell you this. So there's a funny story, and this is how crazy I'm getting. There is a funny story for the 1988 football starting lineup was. So, as we are both toy guys, we understand you can't just whatever comes out in 1988 wasn't made in 1988. It was made probably the year before.
Right. Yeah.
So there is this quarterback, Dan Fouts, and he is superstar quarterback. And nobody knows if he's going to retire, but they're like, hey, we don't know yet. So we're going to make his head sculpt for these 88 releases. Well, Dan Fouts retires before the 88 season. So they're like, holy shit, we have all of these Dan Fouts heads. What do we do with them? Oh, there's this lesser known quarterback, Dave Craig, for the Seattle Seahawks. We just won't make a head sculpt of him, and we'll use the Dan Fouts heads onto Dave Craig. So if you have a 1988 Dave Craig, and you're like, why does this man have a beard when he never had a beard throughout his whole entire career? It is because of that reason. It is because Dan Fouts retired.
I love that stuff. That happened a lot in toy lines. Like a lot of the toys that become beloved didn't start out looking that way when they were making them. They for different reasons, that's that's amazing. How would you feel if you were that guy though? It's like, and he gets to say, he goes, "Oh man, I'm getting my own starting lineups figure. That's so cool." And he gets it because, why do I have a beard?
Because all of them look pretty good, like I said, face sculpt wise. But if you get a chance, look up Dave Craig. And look up the Dave Craig 1988 starting lineup, and you're gonna be like, no, I don't think they look pretty much the same there. It's pretty bad. It reminds me of like when they were showing the Jakks Pacific wrestling figures, how bad some of those head sculpts were, and I guess they used like Jeff Jarrett's head for Owen Hart or something at one point, or it was just bad. But yeah, that was I forgot to write that down, and I was like, oh, I won't write it down because I won't forget it because it's such a great story.
What was the name? I was trying to look it up.
Dave Craig.
Dave Craig.
Yeah,
that's what I put in. I keep getting Roger Craig instead.
It's because it's with a K. It's
KRAIG.
or as Matt would say it, Krieg. And I always go, it's Craig. What is spelled? Matt with his spelling.
You see how much it's like people are trying to sell it for?
Really?
Yeah. It definitely has a beard. Like he's not even, they don't even try to hide that that's a different person.
Yeah.
These are what people are trying to sell it for. I'm not saying these are selling for this, but like this one for anywhere from $400 to like $800.
Yeah, if you could kind of see in the card,
yeah,
no beard.
No, there's definitely no beard. 100% no beard. That's funny.
Yeah. So they were like, "Oh crap, what are we gonna do?"
Oh, Craig, yeah.
Okay. So we're all right. This is a newer picture, but I'm gonna send this one to you just to. Sorry we prolonged this episode, but my mind ain't what it used to be sometimes.
No, I mean we're both old.
If you see my Facebook posts, there are times where I do misspell things and stuff like that and put in wrong dates because I'm trying to do 20 things at once. So that's Dan Fouts.
I mean, he's got a beard now.
Well, no, this is the head sculpt that they use for Dave Craig.
Oh, I'm getting confused now.
Oh no, no, Dan Fouts. This is what if you look at the Dave Craig,
yeah,
it looks exactly like Dan Fouts.
It does, yeah.
But yeah, that's the unique story behind that.
That's pretty great. Yep. All right, now I think we're ready to turn the lights out.
We are ready. So
stay tuned. Next time, I don't remember what we're talking about because I always ask Andrew the day before.
It was your choice.
That doesn't mean I remember.
It was NBA Christmas on NBA.
Oh yeah. We're going to talk about the NBA Christmas games. It became a tradition for me, so we're going to be talking about those. Side note: this NBA little tournament that they're trying to do is oddly kind of working. Some really fun games.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that because one of the guys I work with, he was like, "Hey, did you know the Celtics got eliminated from the in-season tournament?" And I was like, "Oh no, we didn't win the in-season tournament. Oh no." And all I'm thinking was, let me go cry into one of the 16 to 17 banners we have on our rafters.
Yeah.
Sorry, Johnny.
Yeah. You see, as a super fan of a team that doesn't know what that is, and I say this respectfully because I do consider you one of my closest friends, up yours. So, do you know how happy I would be? I'm not even making this up. How excited I'd be if the Hornets were in this season tournament for a cup that nobody cares about. I'd be over the moon. I'm not even kidding.
I'm like, oh no.
That Pacers team's pretty good, by the way.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that the Halliburton for Sabonis trade should have never happened and they should have traded Fox, but I
mean, both teams came out better for it.
Yeah.
I think because Sabonis is a very good player. I mean, he's on my fantasy team, so and he's getting me some points. I ain't mad at him.
He ain't like his daddy though.
Oh, I mean, that's not even fair to him.
That's a what if. If we ever do, I definitely want to start doing some what ifs at some point. But
that's a Jokic before Jokic right there.
Yeah,
is that? But thanks for listening. We appreciate all of you. Again, check out our social medias and let us know what were your favorite starting lineup figures.
Peace.